Welcome to the Flood Watch podcast. This is Congressman Mike Flood coming to you from Washington, D.C. with the latest rundown of what's happening on Capitol Hill. House Republicans are still working to force President Biden to secure the southern border as thousands of illegal immigrants flood across it every day. This crisis is a direct result of President Biden and his administration's rhetoric and policies. This week, the House voted on 2 articles of impeachment against Department of Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. This comes after a nearly year-long investigation by the House Committee on Homeland Security. They found him chiefly responsible for the causes, cost, and consequences of the historic border crisis. Although the vote failed by a slim margin, we will continue to hold Mayorkas accountable for willfully undermining border security and breach of the public trust. Also this week, the House voted on the Israel Security Supplemental Appropriation Act. This bill would have provided $17.6 billion to our ally Israel for military assistance and to fund costs incurred by the U.S. military for support in the region. In an overly partisan play, House Democrats blocked the aid for Israel. Last year, Democrats complained that House Republicans offset the cost of Israel and in our first attempt to deliver it. This new bill answered their objection. Now they have moved the goalpost playing politics while Israel continues to wait for America to act. It's a long overdue thing that needs to get done for America to step up and produce much needed aid to Israel as they continue to do everything necessary to eliminate Hamas. And finally, this week, federal prosecutors unveiled charges against scores of New York City Housing Authority employees for defrauding the agency and taxpayers. The systematic work of current and former employees to steal taxpayer money harms not just the people of New York, but communities across the country who are struggling to build affordable housing. This is especially egregious at a time when inflation is putting home ownership out of reach for many. It is an important reminder that the federal agencies must always remain diligent in rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. Failing to do so allows taxpayer dollars to flow into the pockets of criminals rather than addressing the critical housing challenges we face in Nebraska and across the country. I applaud the work of federal prosecutors and look forward to continuing conducting rigorous oversight through the Housing and Insurance Subcommittee of how our taxpayer funds are used. For more information and details on my week in Washington, I encourage you to visit flood.house.gov and sign up for my Flood Watch newsletter at my website. This has been the latest episode of the Flood Watch podcast. Until next time, this is Congressman Mike Flood in Washington, D.C. Have a great weekend.